Hello, Tyler Mastrangelo here for the third presentation on labor relations. Today I'll be discussing how the United States differs from labor relations in other industrial economies such as Germany, Great Britain, and Mexico. So first off, comparative labor relations is the study of labor relations systems in different countries. So a different perspective on labor relations is important for three reasons. So, considering labor relations in multiple countries, it provides a rich basis for thinking broadly about the underlying problem of balancing efficiency, equity, and voice, and for obtaining a stronger understanding of primary issues in labor relations. So, another reason for the perspective is that analysis of labor relations can provide ideas for reforming the United States system. And if you work for an organization that does business in another country or a labor union that has strategic alliances with a labor union in another country, it is important to understand that country's labor relations framework. So overall, in the United States and in the world, the percentage of workers in unions is declining, and that is, it's called union density. So for example, the United States, it's falling 12%, Mexico is falling 20%, China is falling all the way down to 80%, and Great Britain is falling at 30%. So there are four things that are widely present in industrialized democratic countries except for the United States. So one is the support for unionization is present, a socialist movement, legal rights for unions, and low employer resistance to unions. In other countries, employer associations rather than individual companies dominates collective bargaining for the most part. Exclusive representation is not always present. Contracts are not always legally enforceable as well, and business unionism is not always the dominant philosophy. So not only are unions organized differently, but so are the employees. Union membership is not as closely associated with being covered by a union as it is in the United States. So like in France, Spain, Austria, over 80% of the employees are covered by a collective bargaining agreement, but the union density is less than 30% in those countries, and not even over 10% in France. So labor relations around the globe are similar in their aspects. There's pressures on labor, management, government. That's universal. The fundamental issues of labor relations are constant across the country, though. The objectives of employment relationships are efficiency, equity, and voice, like we learned, and there is a need to balance the labor rights and property rights. And the U.S. deal, new labor relations system is one possible method for pursuing these objectives. So before I get into comparing the United States, I just wanted to note that the convergence thesis it predicts that labor relations practices and policies across the country will converge to a common set of practices and policies, and national differences will appear. That seems kind of far-fetched, but that's what it said. So, like in Mexico, labor negotiations and unions have traditionally been controlled by the government as part of a larger economic development strategy. This doesn't go well with the government and labor unions because the government's focus is on competitiveness, business competitiveness, and foreign investment at the expense of the employees' working conditions. And there's another thing that's weird about Mexico's constitution. It's written right into it that it guarantees the right to workers to organize unions, bargain collectively, and strike, and it also provides protections against unjust dismissal and dangerous working conditions. So it's written right in the Mexican constitution that sometimes it's not followed in Mexico. So it also differs from Mexican law. Labor law differs from the United States because in a union must have at least 20 employees and can be an industrial union, a craft union, or enterprise union, which is representing workers at only one company. But that differs from the United States because the United States needs at least a majority to get unions started. So like I just said, the union does not need a majority of employees to engage in collective bargaining, but to strike it does need a majority of the union's members. So all contracts in Mexico automatically include the minimum provisions mandated by the Constitution, which, like for example, the Article 123. Once the legal standards for I messed up a little bit there, but never 1. For government control of labor unions is facilitated by Mexican labor law. So government agencies play a significant role in approving union registration and determining the legality of strikes and approving contracts. So government plays a huge role in Mexico, more than I would say in the United States. So I'm going to go comparing, talk about Great Britain now. So unlike the U.S. labor relations, in which the law requires unions and companies to negotiate if the union represents a majority of the workers, in Great Britain, collective bargaining has traditionally occurred only if the parties voluntarily agree. So the voluntarily refers to the absence of legal force. So that means that the labor and management use their economic power, not their legal rights, to get the other side to do something. So that'd be like to bargain or to abide by contract. So when management voluntarily agrees to bargain, for example, it is because the economic cost of refusing to bargain, such as a strike, are greater than the cost of bargaining. So management is trying to save money by not avoiding the unions from striking. So the unions don't really want restrictions on strikes and boycotts, though, while management doesn't want restrictions on freedom to management. So the current issue facing British unions they're similar to the U.S. in that the union density is also declining as well. So since 1980, British union membership has fallen by more than 5 million members. That's a lot. And so I'm going to move on to comparing Germany now. So Germany is best known for sector bargaining, which is industry-wide bargaining that produces a contract for the entire sector. Sector bargaining takes place at a regional level, but is tightly coordinated by the national organization, and the first regional agreement sets the strong pattern for the other regions. So the first one in the region would set the pattern for the other ones, and they'd follow suit. So strikes are also legal during while there's an agreement, but a company cannot invalidate the contract by leaving the employers' association, so it's difficult to become non-union in Germany. Germany has co-determination also, which is an institutionalized system of employee voice in which employees are entitled to participate in workplace decision making, and it has two parts: a works council and an employee level committee of employees. So that would go well with working well with the United States, because it would give the employees more of a voice in workplace decision making, because it has a council and also a level of committee of employees. So that will wrap up my third presentation on labor relations. I hope that you enjoyed it, and hope you have a great day.